Good morning, Mr. M. 26 days until the start of Chad's trial. Fancy Nancy, good morning. Hot Scorpio Rouge. Wow. Good to see you. Hello, Sam Willow. Big Tex. I live for now. Good morning. Y'all, I'm out here on the porch. We got through winter. I'm back out here to try to get some serenity, which is hard to do when you take into consideration the behaviors of humanity, huh? That includes me too, right? Hello, Brittany Turney. Hello, Beach Lady. So, I took some time off, and when I do that, it gives my mind some rest. Not much rest. As many of you know, KJ has that overactive mind of mine. That mind of mine. But I had a good week. Had a birthday party for my son. Been kind of caught up a little bit on this Sebastian Rogers ordeal here in Tennessee. Been praying really hard for that young man. Good morning, Lena Howry. Yeah, I'm home. I've been home, Fancy Nancy. Wayne's the one that's been, he went for 8 days away, then he came back during the week, but he had to stay busy at work, and so I didn't get to see much of him then. And then he turned around the next weekend and went back to Atlanta to see the races there, and so I took a week off. Oh, you're talking to Beach Lady. Okay. But back to this human behavior. And I think I figured out something, y'all. I think I figured out that for me, there's always been this desire and fascination on why people do what they do. And to try to get into the mind of that, y'all know this case we've been studying has been really rough on all of us, I think, to some degree. I saw in the comments on the community wall last night that Tina Reddington was saying that she, when situations like that with Sebastian Rogers, the 15-year-old autistic young man who's been missing now for, 7 or 8 days, that she tends to want to blame the parents before there's even any evidence. But, here's the bottom line, y'all. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen these things turn out bad. We'll never know what happened to Summer Wells, that cute little girl here in Tennessee. And those parents, in my opinion, know exactly what happened to her. And they can't do nothing to these parents. And did you just think about all the missing children all over the United States and the world? And how there's been an uptick of people murdering their children, and then they wait for weeks before they say, oh, let's tell them that they, ran away or walked away or something today when they've been murdered for several weeks now. I guess that goes back to community, right? When's the last time you saw your neighbor's kid? Yes, Sam Willow, Tina Reddington is a wise woman. I told her, I said, when she said that, I said, I feel ashamed that I always have to think the worst. Why can't I just think the best? Why can't I just look into the eyes of these two parents of Sebastian Rogers and say, oh, I feel for them. Which, I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll be glad to say I'm wrong. But it's just weird to me. The mother in her interview, not the live stream on YouTube, but the other interview she did with the TV station, she's rocking back and forth. And I think many of us understand that is a self-soothing type of thing. And yes, that could mean she's self-soothing because she misses her son and she's scared and she don't know where he's at. And she's traumatized because she don't know where her son is at. But y'all, they say from 12 midnight till 6 in the morning that somehow this 15-year-old who doesn't like bugs, who doesn't like to get dirty, walks out of the house without any shoes on. She thinks he brought a flashlight because it's missing. Well, maybe she's brought up this thing about a flashlight because it just seems strange to me, y'all. That out of nowhere, she says they had a great day. They weren't fighting or anything like that. It's just weird to me. Right, Fancy Nancy. I mean, that's you go from the, the family and you work your way out. And here's the bottom line, y'all. They did an extensive search. They can't find that young man on camera anywhere. Nowhere. And now they're saying that they're scaling it back because it's turned into an investigation. An investigation that's geared toward what? Foul play. Does that mean foul play from the parents? It could. Does it mean foul play off someone out here? People are saying, well, maybe he met someone online. Well, the parents have said it over and over again. He had no access to the internet. He went to school. He had friends. None of them have said that anything was wrong. If we're talking about somebody showing up at their house between 12 midnight and 6 in the morning and going in there and kidnapping a 15-year-old autistic young man, let me be clear, that would be impossible. Because the mother says that when she got up the next morning, the doors were locked. So what? He leaves in the middle of the night for whatever reason without any shoes on. She's referring to him possibly having his flashlight, so you got to picture that. He's autistic. Is he afraid of the dark? And somebody met him and took him away. The only other explanation is these parents are not being truthful. If we are to take their word that they have nothing to do with this, they're not being honest about the living situation. That maybe this 15-year-old got tired of everything being strict on him. The mother said he's very headstrong and stubborn. Maybe he just got tired of it and walked out. It's just strange to me, y'all, that the way that they got their stories from together, whether they're true or not, that she's sitting on the phone with her husband from about 9:30 at night till about midnight. Is that something that the police can look back through their call logs and see something she does when her husband's at work? She just sits on the phone with him every night after her son goes to bed? Right, Jennifer Esslinger. Well, I can assure you that TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, I'm sure with cooperation through the FBI, because the FBI is going to get involved in this, y'all. They always do when it comes to children. I'm not saying they're on the ground but the FBI is definitely going to have some say-so in this. And maybe, just maybe, since the Summer Wells situation happened, and nobody's ever been able to figure that one out, maybe they've tweaked things a little bit in law enforcement to try to get on top of things. Now, let me be clear. I believe Summer Wells was already gone. Like maybe even days or weeks or whatever before the parents called in that she was missing. That's what I believe. But in this case, the mother says that she was, over the weekend before he disappeared, that her and her son went to Costco on a Saturday and then to another bulk food store called DJ's on Sunday. So there should be camera footage of that showing him there. So whatever happened had to have happened that Sunday evening overnight into Monday. What time did the stepfather go to work? Good morning, Daisy Sushine. See, when it comes to human behavior, y'all, I mean, I can't put myself into the mind of an autistic child. I can research it, but it doesn't matter because all children that are autistic, they're on a spectrum. Even on top of that, they have their own personalities. They're the only them that they're ever going to be. So there's no way that I just cannot see from what the parents are describing a young man that would go outside at night, who doesn't like to get dirty, who doesn't like bugs, who has never been one to want to run away or have any, some discipline behavioral issues outside of the autism itself. Because I know autism, they get frustrated and all this and that. But, looking at that interview with the parents, the stepfather was very, very calm. He didn't look emotional at all. In fact, he kind of smiled some and giggled some. And hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, y'all. If I'm wrong, if they find that young man, then this will be a lesson for old KJ. That somehow, some way throughout my life, I've decided that I'm just going to do the worst case scenario. And here I've been all these years with y'all talking about we got to stay positive in life and, try to see the positive in everything. But these stories of these children, especially ones with special needs, when it turns out worst case scenario, it upsets me so much that people can do what they do. Hello, Benjamin. Hi, Nimit. Sumsy King, Fishing Kid. Which, by the way, Fishing Kid, I don't know if you're a kid or not, but these settings are set on adult. The parents said last night about Sebastian Rogers that he could not get online, that they were very strict about, he had a phone, which, by the way, he didn't take his phone either. Autism or not, a 15-year-old, a teenager not bringing their phone, that's just strange, y'all. And if he can't get online, then how could he have been lured to go outside after midnight, between midnight and 6 in the morning? How could he have been lured by somebody? Who would have lured him? The bottom line is he was with his mother all the time. Sandra Lavalle says, good to see you again. This whole thing is strange. Why walk out barefooted if he's going to run away? I hope they find him soon. I do too. I pray and pray that this is not what my mind is looking at. Do I give people the benefit of the doubt in this day and time? No, I don't. I just don't. I don't trust many people. Not after everything that I've seen in the news. And it just hurts me so bad that this 15-year-old, even if nothing really bad has happened and he took off for whatever reason, he's vulnerable. You got to ask the question, if this young man, I mean, who could he trust? He didn't know anybody. He had a couple of friends at school. What's interesting about it is his biological father lives in Clarksville, Tennessee. That's where I was born and raised. And how, from what his stepfather and mother are saying, they all have a good relationship together. Well, we haven't heard from the biological father. And I guess the question has to be asked, and it isn't out of, because I know their personal lives and all that is none of my business. It really isn't. But if we've got a young man who is missing in the state of Tennessee or anywhere in this damn world, then I think that has something that society should want answers. Why is the mother and the biological father divorced? If she's saying in her interview that he's a great father to their son, that if his son did have some extracurricular activities in his life, that his biological father would be the first one sitting on the front row. So she's keying us in that his father is actively involved in his son's life. But this goes back again to, why are they divorced in the first place? I know that the stepfather was divorced back in 2018. That's information that I have fact-checked. So anytime after 2018, I don't know how long he's been married to Sebastian's mother. He could have met her right off the bat. He could be married to her a year, 2 years, 3 years. From the interview, the stepfather says he's a crane operator. It's obvious that he left that evening sometime to go to work, because she's calling him while he's at work. It's just strange to me, y'all, that she sits on the phone with him from 9:30 at night till 12, and he tells her to go to bed. Hi, Madam August Butterfly. Hi, Donna Donald. Hi, Mary Seidler. Madam August Butterfly says, no good deed goes unpunished with these people. It's sad. Who must we trust? Jesus only. Praying for answers. So my thing is this. I mean, what if they never find him? Just like they haven't found Summer Wells. And we're talking, y'all, they did an extensive search. They used National Guard troops here in Tennessee to look for this boy. They looked in caves. They looked in drainage pipes. They've covered 1,000 square miles. The one thing that really bothers me is nobody has any camera footage of Sebastian Rogers. Where is he? Why isn't he showing up on some of these Ring doorbells? Why isn't he showing up? I mean, he's got to get hungry going into a convenience store. His stepfather says that if you gave him a $20 bill, he wouldn't know really what to do with that. They don't know. Then he turns around and says everything's on the table on whether he would have got on mass transportation. They say that Sebastian can play chess and beat other adults at chess. So he's got to be highly intelligent. And just because he has autism doesn't mean that he, doesn't know what's going on around him. Again, this goes back to the spectrum, and I'm very ignorant on all of that. But I'll tell you what, if it's true that this young man does not like to get dirty and he doesn't like bugs, I keep going back to it, y'all. Why do the parents want to say this? When they ask the parents, the stepfather and the mother, to explain to everyone about Sebastian. Y'all, I'm being distracted. I'm getting text messages. Anyway, the bottom line is that, everything they're saying about him doesn't line up with him leaving out overnight. And they just keep going on and on and on about we don't allow him internet access. That can't be the reason. He didn't meet no one online and all of that. Olive Heatley says when a child goes missing, everyone involved in his life needs to go under the microscope. Well, especially if it's being brought to the masses via social media and the news media. I mean, if they're going to bring it to everyone's attention, this goes back again. I'm no expert. I don't think anyone here is any expert on human behavior. All we can do is look at what we have witnessed in other people, evil, diabolical stuff that happens. If that stuff can happen, is it such a far-fetched thing to say that what if the stepfather and him got into a fight and something bad happened? Or could it have been the mother? I don't know. Or he walked away. And why would he walk away? If everything was okay, if life was okay, if his mother's sitting there in the interview saying everything was fine, he was laughing that day on Sunday, everything was good, and then all of a sudden, just like that, he's gone and nobody can find him. We're talking thousands of hours of manpower. They can't pick him up with a dog scenting him or anything. He just vanished. Well, I'll tell you what, y'all. The bottom line is no 15-year-old, whether they're autistic or not, in that specific situation, if it's true that he's shut off from all internet access, what's he leaving for? What's going on? This is such a great spot, says Jennifer. Thanks, Ray, for helping me to have contact with broader perspective outside of the narrow canyon view. Madeline Soto, another reported tragedy. So the bottom line on it is y'all, from what we know so far and what manpower law enforcement has done to try to find Sebastian Rogers, y'all, it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. Sandra Lavalle says, I don't believe he's kidnapped. I don't think he walked away, and the thing his mother's saying is not adding up. She needs to get real. And so does the stepfather. If they've done nothing wrong, they at least need to tell the truth and say, we've had issues with him, we're getting in fights or something. She says in her interview, well, everything was just fine. I could understand if we'd have been fighting or something. From what I understand, autistic people, because not just children but adults too, like to be in their comfort zone. And I just don't see some autistic 15-year-old who really doesn't have a grasp on everything. I just don't see him walking away. But I will be so happy if that they find him. And he says, I just wanted to get out here in the world. I'll be so happy about that. Olive Heatley says they have strict routines. Yes, I mean, maybe that's what it is. I'm trying to look at both sides of this. Y'all, this is a 15-year-old young man. I posted his picture on the community wall. This could be anybody's son. This could be, I've got 3 sons. He could be my son. And it hurts me so much. I don't think that if foul play has happened, I don't think it happened days before, because again, the Costco on Saturday and the other food place on Sunday, they've got to have camera footage. It had to happen Sunday evening, overnight. Whether he ran away, whether something happened to him, whether his stepfather did something to him, whether his mother did something to him, or some outside person met him outside and snatched him. And how many 15-year-old autistic kids are going to willingly go with someone that is not at least trying to be nice to him? It couldn't just be he got curious and went outside overnight while his mom's asleep, and someone just happened to be in their neighborhood and pulled over and said, hey, Sebastian, how you doing? Come on, let's take a ride. No. It had to have been someone picked him up that he somehow got communication with. He had a phone. But the mother and the stepfather say in their interview that they've combed his electronics. Well, hopefully that, she says they don't let him on the internet. Well, why would they have to cut? Why would the parents not? I'm sure she's talking about law enforcement too, but she said, we have combed his electronics. Well, if he doesn't have internet access, if he doesn't use his phone like you say, then what are you looking for? Yes, Fancy Nancy. I mean, the stepfather and the mother says as soon as she got up that morning at 6 a.m. and she couldn't find him, she called who? She called the stepfather. I'd be calling 911. Whether my spouse is at work or not, I'd be calling 911 first. First, I would look throughout the house, then I'd look out in the yard. As soon as I didn't see him there, even if I thought, well, maybe that he went to a neighbor, I'd be calling 911. But they do. They call them, and they're there within minutes. And thus, the investigation begins. They try to find him. How far can a 15-year-old walk? Say he left as soon as his mother went to sleep at 12 midnight, and he realized she was in bed. She'd gotten off the phone with her husband there and went to bed, and he creeps out. He goes out the door without his shoes on. He locks the door behind him, right? From 12:01 or 12:05 midnight, they can say how far someone can walk, and they put a big radius around it, and they search in those areas. Francis Thompson says 911 would be the first if I couldn't find my kid. It is, Jennifer. Now, I did notice, and if you go back and watch the live stream that I posted on Community Wall, that Duchess lady, which, bless her heart, she knew exactly what to say. No matter what position a person was taking on this issue, she handled that with grace. She handled it to me, in a very professional manner. kudos to her. It's just, if you listen into it, they talk about how the police have all, hours of camera footage to go through. Well, I'll tell you what, when those police go through all of that and they don't see that young man, the only thing they can do is look to the parents. Because that would be impossible. This young man would have to hide behind every tree. This young man would not have to seek out water or food. He's just going to walk off into the woods somewhere and die? I don't think so. The parents are in a position now, and the more that people look at the situation, the more suspicious it looks. I would like to sit here and give y'all this whole other side that he ran away and the parents are just, they had nothing to do with it or anything like that. But folks, are they out putting flyers out? Are they out? What are they doing? Yes, they've gone on a live stream. They went on a TV show. A TV news crew, an interview there. It's just the difference between the mother and the stepfather and how they're behaving. And hey, they're their own people. How would I feel? How would I behave if something like this happened to one of my kids and they were missing, and I didn't know why they were missing? I just got up one morning and they were gone. They were gone and they didn't wear shoes. And they're special needs. And the door's locked on the way out. And yeah, there's a flashlight that Sebastian loved to play with. They can't find it anywhere. Well, here's a question. What about his little switch thing, his little game that's not connected to the internet that he loved to play games on? Have they found that? That's a good question. It's my understanding that these autistic people, whether they're kids or adults, they have things that they keep with them to comfort them. I find it really strange that the mother says, he likes to play with pennies and paper clips, but we can't tell whether or not, because they could be any amount or with this or that. Well, do you have paper clips and pennies laying around everywhere that Sebastian plays with? Is there some on his dresser there that that he has? Are any of them missing? Scariest thing ever, to lose a kid for even a minute in the mall. My butt would be searching for my kid, not calling stepdaddy, right? I guess I could kind of look at this like, what do I do? Call up my spouse. He's autistic. Maybe he's had these behavioral issues before, and maybe she's like, do I need to go ahead and call 911? Or do you think I should go door to door, or what should I do and then call 911? I understand people react differently, and sometimes people do not want to get the police involved. If, she got up the next morning, he wasn't there. Maybe he stepped outside and walked down the street a ways. And then she calls the police, and here he comes walking back, and she feels like a fool. You know what I'm saying? But, no, for me, with a special needs kid, if I had one, and I got up and I knew that child did not do these things, I would be calling 911. It is, Sandra. They're saying one thing, like, he's not getting on the internet and everything. But, what they want everyone to believe is somehow during 12 and 6 a.m., that this 15-year-old autistic young man with no history of having issues with his family, they say that if he ever wants to visit his dad, all they have to do is call the biological dad. So it ain't like they were keeping him from his dad. That they want everyone to believe that sometime overnight there, that he just decided to get up in the middle of the night, get a flashlight, don't put no shoes on, go out the door, lock the door behind you, and then poof, he's gone. Who would be waiting on this young man out there? Even if he knew somebody from school was like, hey, I want you to come over here Sunday night between 12 and 6. I'm going to go outside and see you. You'd put your damn shoes on. You know, if you were meeting a friend, if you thought that you were going to meet your new friend, that maybe he had been sneaking some internet time and met somebody. This is for sake of argument. Why ain't the young man putting his shoes on? The bigger question is why does the mother say none of his shoes were missing? And they say things like, can y'all believe this? I mean, they didn't have to bring that up. It's just strange. If it really did happen the way that the parents say it's happened, one's got to ask the question, what did he go out there for? She said he kissed said goodnight to his puppies. He said, I love you, Mom, good night. And he went to bed. And she stayed up till midnight on the phone with the stepdad. Obviously, she says she fell asleep on the couch in the living room. Have y'all ever heard that one before? Oh, I fell asleep on the couch. Didn't realize that, this stuff was going on around me. Give me a break, y'all. It's weird. It's almost like an echo. Hi, Cindy Bullock. Hi, Mary Seidler. Did the mom canvass the neighborhood? Did she hike around the area? Did she call around? Good question, Sam Willow. None of those questions to me were answered. Maybe she did, but the questions didn't get asked in the interviews in either one of those. I challenge any of y'all to go back and listen to the Duchess live stream with the parents first. Listen to it very closely, and then go to the news interview. How many times, y'all, do they trial run their freaking damn story? Melanie Gibbs sure did, didn't she? She trial runned it. She had to say it out loud over and over again in order to keep the story the way it was. Even then, I'm telling y'all, the way that these parents are behaving, it's just to me, and I'm going to feel so ashamed of myself if this ends up differently. In fact, I know I will learn a lesson from this, and I will also be able to get some enlightenment within myself about this if I am wrong. Because I'm going to tell y'all right now, if I'm right about this, I'm not going to learn anything other than what I already know about human behavior. And make no mistake, y'all, we say we would never do any of these things, y'all. If you're a human being, anything can happen, and usually does. That's where God steps in my life. That's why God is important to me, because I know that God loves me and loves everyone in the world and has given me a conscience, basically. I couldn't do those things that other people do. Numbnut says, no way an autistic boy left puppies and ran away. Not puppies. Parents, years, sure. Puppies, no way. Right. Great point, Numbnut. Great YouTube name, too. Yeah, I mean, if this 15-year-old has his own pets, What's interesting is the stepfather said that he told his wife over the phone while he was at work, while she was sitting on the phone with him from 9:30 to midnight there, that she had to let the dogs out. Did she let the dogs out, and then Sebastian heard the dogs outside and went to go out there to get them back in the house and something happened? That's a real possibility. But until we get the answer on whether she let them out, did she let them out and then go to bed and forget to bring them back in? Is there a place in the backyard, a fence where the dogs can stay outside? And maybe Sebastian went out there to see if to bring the dog back in. She sure didn't say that. All she said was she got up at 6 a.m. and he wasn't there. She has said nothing else about those pets, other than Sebastian said goodnight to his puppies. Sandra Lavalle says nothing is adding up. When was the last time he seen his father? Well, from their interviews, and I can only go off what they're saying. There you go, y'all. I mean, are these parents being honest? Are they being forthcoming? People would say, well, KJ, they don't have to tell nobody anything. Well, they should want to tell everything in order to get their son back who's missing. Don't leave nothing out. These clues can help people solve it. But back to what you were saying, they say that the biological father gets Sebastian every other weekend. And that they all three, the mother, the stepfather, and Sebastian's biological father, have a great relationship. The stepfather says he talks to the biological father almost every day. I want to hear from the biological father. I want to hear what he's got to say. Because I'm going to tell you, if it's not like that, if the stepfather is trying to portray that this family with their special needs, autistic 15-year-old there, they all work together for the betterment of Sebastian, if the biological father is listening to that interview and saying, well, we're not fighting, but the way he's explaining it, he's making it out to be like we're just great parents when I know that we don't really get along all that well or something like that, that's going to clue that biological parent in. But if it's true, what kind of conversation was had after they called 911? They had to call the biological father and tell him that his son is missing. Hi, JoJo. And again, y'all, we've got people that come on this channel that they don't know who any of us are. But they're going to come on here. Maybe they're interested and maybe they can contribute to the subject we're talking about if they so choose, or they can listen. But the comments are ridiculous when, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It's either attacking me, attacking people in the comments, just wanting whatever they're wanting out of it. That's why I just have gotten to the point where I don't even like to do the live streams anymore, and the only reason I do them is because of all of y'all, the Rays. It's the only reason I do it. Hello, Vicky McNutt. Hello, Nicole. The parents, not defending the parents, but law enforcement may have asked the parents not to say certain things which can make their stories sound disjointed. Okay, well, Sam, why would law enforcement tell them not to say certain things? What's that got to do with describing what happened and who Sebastian is and all of that? They've talked about he has no internet access. That would seem to me would be something the police would be saying, hey guys, y'all don't need to say anything about the internet stuff because We're investigating on whether somebody contacted Sebastian. These things, these important things that they're talking about, how Sebastian did not have shoes on. I would think the police wouldn't want anyone to know that, right? I see what you're saying, but it's disjointed because something is wrong, Sam Willow. Something is not right. I just feel it in my gut. Law enforcement is asking for video of people or cars. Not Sebastian, just cars or people, says JoJo. Hi, Harry Poppins. I like that YouTube name. Ammon, I'm doing good. How are you doing? David Jackson, I live here in Tennessee, and there's this 15-year-old autistic young man named Sebastian Rogers here in my state that just vanished out of thin air. His parents, his stepfather and his mother are saying that sometime between midnight and 6 a.m., he left. And he left without shoes on. This is the same autistic young man they described as someone who doesn't like to get dirty, who doesn't like bugs. So, I don't know. You know, y'all, we've talked about the Chad and Lori Daybell case, and we've delved into the creepiness of these people and their behaviors for several years now. I'm just wondering if because I have dealt with that and we've all talked about it over all this time, that it's putting some kind of, I don't know, some kind of bias or some kind of something on me that's making me see things that that are not actually what should be seen, you know. I could have come on here this morning and said, oh, the parents, I feel for the parents. Oh my gosh, this has got to be terrible. And just totally be in their corner. I could do that. That could be the narrative that old KJ comes out here on the porch by my fountain here and talk to y'all about, but it's not. And it ain't because I want to think the worst, y'all. It's when I look at these people and the circumstances that they are telling everyone. It does not make sense. And when things don't make sense, y'all, that's when some shit's going on. Pure and simple. Y'all know it. Just as we've been going over this case. There are still things we don't, that don't make sense at all. And that's because we're not getting all the truth. And I don't think we're getting all the truth out of these parents either. JD Forever Podcast says, when stuff doesn't add up, you see it. Right. Great point. Wise old lady says, I have an autistic granddaughter. One day she got out the door while her mom was in the kitchen cooking. She walked in the neighbor's house around the corner and went and opened her fridge door. Okay, that's a great point, and thank you for sharing that, wise old lady. So what if Sebastian Rogers did that? They'd have found him already. Could it be that he did the same thing, was heading to a neighbor's? Or he was heading to go meet a friend that he thought was going to... y'all, that don't make sense if he doesn't have internet access. He does have a phone, though. And yet the mother and stepfather say that law enforcement and they themselves have combed over his electronics, and they're still sitting there in the interview saying they don't know what happened. Why wouldn't they say, well, we combed through the electronics and we looked on his phone and we saw where he'd been texting somebody, and we don't know who this somebody is, and maybe he went with to meet them or something like that. They didn't say that. They're still saying they have no idea. All they know is he wasn't there at 6 a.m. It had to be overnight. That's a good question, JD Forever Podcast. How far is the closest house? It's my understanding that it ain't like KJ's place out here. You want to see KJ's place out here? I live out in Bunland. But this young man and his family live in a neighborhood. And yet nobody has seen anything. Yet they have not come out yet. And I guarantee you, if law enforcement had a picture of Sebastian walking past the house from a Ring doorbell, or walking into a convenience store or something like that, they would put it on the news so that people could see where in the vicinity he was at this time. That's not something law enforcement would hold back from the public. But I'll tell you what the law enforcement will hold back. They will hold back if they see something strange going on overnight at this parent's house that's got nothing to do with this young man walking out a door with a flashlight with no shoes on. That's something they're not going to tell everybody. And I'll tell you something else. I don't know where this guy, this stepfather, works in terms of running the crane. He said something like he's working on a commercial job site. They've got to have some kind of footage there on what time he got there, what he was doing. Mama D 425M, Sebastian Rogers has been missing for 8 days, 7 or 8 days, something to that effect. Hi, Mary Stone. Jennifer, that's what Wayne and I both. Nothing ever good happens after midnight. We're old school people. That's great point there. I believe it's day 9 or 10, says Fancy Nancy. Perhaps it is. Maybe I'm a day or two late in my brain, right? Hi, love is a 4-letter word. Love you too. Yeah, it is heartbreaking, Mama D. I wonder where he's at right now. Is he still with us? Could he be in the woods somewhere? Could he be in a vehicle going down the road somewhere with somebody? And who is that somebody? Because, y'all, here's the bottom line. Even if he got abducted by somebody, that don't end well either. And I don't see this young man walking off into the woods in the middle of the night. I just don't see it happening. I want to keep on top of this, y'all, because I just have this feeling in my heart about this young man. For all these children out here, really. To think that Summer Wells, no one's ever going to find her. Is she dead? Is she alive? What? No one's ever going to find her. I think she's dead, y'all. I do, and I know you might be thinking, oh, there's KJ thinking the worst. No. She's dead. I don't know where she's at. The parents have to live with, if they're innocent, they got to live with it. If they're not innocent, they got to live with it. But I cannot keep myself from thinking, y'all, I challenge you to go back. Watch both of those interviews. The live stream first with the Duchess. And then go to the news interview and listen to that. Zoom in on the face of that stepfather. His eyes are shifting as the mother is speaking. I'm no body language expert at all. I'm no expert in nothing. I'm just an old country girl from Tennessee. But I've seen a lot in my life, and I know many of y'all have too. And it's scary to think that people think, it's always the same thing. If I'm, I hate to be right on this, but if something happened to him because of his stepdad or his mom, they need to owe up to it. But no, they always try to get away with it. Anyone that does evil deeds tries to get away with it. David Jackson says the chances of a stranger harming someone is rare. It's always someone close or someone who interacts with the family the most. Great point. Great point. Nunez says it was the dad. The stepfather? Because I don't think it would be the biological father. Or could it? Could the biological father maybe because he lives, in Clarksville and they live in, was it Hendersonville? Got tired of paying child support and lured his own son out there. Y'all see what goes on in this world. Nothing that I speak is out of the imagination anymore. People kill people all the time. They murder them. They mutilate them. They do all kinds of evil, wicked things. Why am I theorizing on that level? Why is old KJ not saying, oh, these poor parents, he ran off. Forget all the freaking damn descriptions of him not wearing shoes and not liking bugs and the time frame there. He's just gonna, in the middle of the night, gonna get up and walk out the door and lock it on his way out. Give me a break, y'all. Give me a break. It sounds so like a story that's been put together. That's a good question, Numbnut. Did he disappear right before he was due to go back to his biological father's for the weekend? Which makes me wonder, what kind of real relationship did he have with his dad? Maybe he didn't want to go. Maybe he doesn't like his biological father. But these are just theories, hypotheses. And he knew, it was Sunday overnight, Sunday night. It's every other weekend, so I don't think that's the case. Because even if it would have been the following weekend that his biological dad was supposed to get him, he had a whole week. Why do it that late Sunday night into the early morning of, I don't want to go to my dad's, so I'm just going to run away? When he has a whole week to either talk his mom out of it or whatever. And he wasn't at his biological dad's that weekend because his mother said they went to Costco on Saturday and DJ's, another bulk food market on Sunday. So whatever happened to Sebastian, whatever happened to him, had to have happened after, if they've got footage of him at that last store, anytime after that, unless other people in the neighborhood saw him that Sunday evening, when the step